In 2003, a coalition headed by the U.S. invaded Iraq, largely because Iraq was believed to possess large stocks of chemical weapons. On 20th March 2003, the coalition breached the berm that Iraq had erected as a border defense and started advancing on Baghdad. The invasion was supposed to have a northern force consisting of the 4th Infantry Division with 2nd Chemical Battalion attached. The northern attack was supposed to launch through Turkish territory, but at the last minute, Turkey denied use of the terrain. The northern attack force, already at sea, was forced to sail around the Cape of Good Hope, and so they didn't unload until early April. The 63rd, 68th, 181st, and 172nd all participated in the invasion. On May 1st, President Bush declared major combat operations were over and the occupation phase began. Assessment of hundreds of sites yielded only token amounts of chemical agents, and chemical troops were employed with identification and disposal with commercial chemicals. At the same time, a civil war broke out between the Sunnis and the Shiites, along with a growing insurgency that was hostile to the coalition forces. The Army had more chemical assets than it needed and fewer assets than it needed for occupation duties. As a result, chemical soldiers were employed in pretty much every conceivable military task except chemical activity. Convoy escort, patrolling as infantry, guarding EPWs, unloading ships. One platoon of the 181st was kept in Kuwait to escort VIPs. Red Dragons have a long history of accepting off-mission work with enthusiasm and excellence. This period was no exception. North of Baghdad, in the city of Tikrit, the 4th Platoon of the 46th Chemical Company was assigned to guard the bridge over the Tigris River. You are about to hear the experiences of 3 Red Dragons who were involved in the invasion and who guarded that bridge for 6 months in 2003 and 4.
Hi, my name is Caroline, and this is my co-host, Curtis. Tonight, our top story, 3 veterans from the 2nd Seaburn Battalion, Red Dragons, have come to tell us their story about Operation Iraqi Freedom. Tonight, we have Lieutenant Colonel Phil Weiser, Sergeant First Class Daryl McDougall, and Staff Sergeant Jenny Olson here to share their stories. Curtis?
We take you to our field agent with the scoop.
Hi, Daryl. I'm Caroline. It's very nice to meet you.
I'm very glad to be here.
Good. All right. So I'm glad to be here as well. So just want to ask you a few questions about your experience during OIF. The first one I want to ask you to get a little bit of background is what made you join the military in the first place?
Well, I was really searching for a purpose, and the Army extended itself to me, and I thought that would be a great fit, so I went for it.
So we know that you were in 2nd Chemical Battalion, but what company and platoon were you in specifically during this time?
So I was in 4th Platoon, 46th Company.
So can you talk about your experience preparing to go into Iraq before you deployed?
I just remember a lot of just different types of training that we went through. So we did a lot of marksmanship, we did a lot of PT, we did a lot of cultural kind of learning a lot about different things that might seem weird to us, but not to them, such as it could be offensive waving a certain type of way. So it was a lot of interesting different types of training to get us ready.
Very interesting. So when you first touched down in Kuwait, what was your initial thoughts?
First thing that hit me was the heat. I just remember being so hot and that you could cook an MRE in the sand if you wanted to. And just the sandstorms, it was trouble getting anywhere if those things cooked up. And then remember us staying in the tents with about 50 other people.
So, what was your kind of daily routine? Take us through a day in the life of Sergeant First Class Daryl McDougal when he was in Iraq.
So we got attached to, each platoon got attached to an infantry brigade. And I remember us doing any sort of task with them. As one thing that was memorable was whenever we asked for volunteers, Red Dragon never gave up the chance to go out and make a difference. One of those tasks we do, at first it was just clearing houses, then warehouses and things along that nature. Eventually it became more of a stationary position with guarding and checkpoints and stuff like that. So.
All right, so Daryl, the last question I had for you was when you were over in Iraq, when you were deployed, were there any powerful moments, or what were the moments that kind of stood out to you when you were over there?
Yeah, we had, especially a few times when we went to doing guard duty, there was a few times where you didn't know what was going to happen that day, what you were going to see. But I remember distinctly one time where we had some friendly Iraqis approaching. We didn't know at the time that they were friendly. It was just a fast-moving vehicle coming towards our checkpoint, and we tried warning them to stop and everything like that, and then eventually we just had to do what we were trained to. We had to fire upon the vehicle, and it wasn't until afterwards that we found out, that they were actually friendlies. So it was a powerful moment. It really stuck with me. I wish there was something more I could have done.
Well, thank you, Daryl, for sharing your story with us today. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Phil. My name is Caroline, and I just wanted to ask you a few questions today about your experience during OIF. The first one I wanted to ask you, though, just so we can get a little background on you, what really made you want to join the military?
I would just say my time there at Vanderbilt University, my time there at RTZ really gave me a passion for the military, and also I just felt it was my duty at that opportunity to go ahead and serve my country.
Very nice, very nice. So, what was your role within 2nd Chem Battalion at the time?
At the time, I was a battalion commander, so I actually took command of the battalion 02. I kind of spent a year here training up with the battalion, and then we actually boots on ground there 03 early March.
Okay, so when you got on ground, what kind of was the role of 2nd Chem Battalion?
So, to be honest with you, Wayne was the first company in the country. It's a company that actually got into theater, but the role at the time was just supporting maneuver units. Any task they had as a task to do, whether it was logistical, provide patrol, support, clearing rooms, DPW, detainees, you name it, the battalion was there to serve to help support maneuver companies.
Okay.
Whichever way. So a lot of times the company was actually spread across Iraq. To be honest with you, and would have been spread. A lot of it was broken down to platoon-sized elements. So a lot of these tasks was being carried out in platoon-sized elements.
So, Phil, the last question I wanted to ask was, were there any very proud moments for you as a battalion commander while you were over there?
I would actually say the entire deployment was a proud moment, but one moment in particular was when we was called upon to actually provide some perimeter security for the Al-Bakr airport. So actually we were one of the few support companies that actually had crew served weapons at the time. And with that capability, we provide some security, perimeter security for the airport so that the troops can get in and out. So for myself, that was my most proud moment there, being called upon in that moment of need.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Red Dragon 6, We really appreciate you taking the time to sit down with us. Thank you.
My pleasure. Hey, how's it going? Staff Sergeant Jenny Olsen. Thank you for taking your time to do this interview with me. I really want to just take this time to thank you for your service as well, but also wanted you to highlight your time while you spent with the 2nd Chemical Battalion.
Oh, for sure. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so I have a few questions for you. So actually, I just kind of go back. What actually made you join the military?
Yeah, so I honestly, to be completely honest with you, I wasn't super serious in high school, and I didn't really feel like going to college. I joined the Army because it seemed like a really interesting alternative. I actually joined the Chemical Corps because I really wanted to go to Germany, and the recruiter told me that I would go to Germany if I joined the Chemical Corps, but that didn't end up happening, so it's fine.
Okay. So what company were you a part of since you didn't go to Germany?
I was actually a part of 46th Chemical Company, and I was in 4th Platoon.
Okay. How was the training preparation for the deployment?
Really, deployment had to wait for a long time on like all sort of political complications to be resolved. So we did get a lot of time to go through some really good training. When the time really finally came to deploy, the kind of overwhelming reaction in the company was like, oh, finally. Like finally we get to go. We've been training for so long. So we actually left for Kuwait on the 6th of April, 2003.
Okay, nice. So what was your guys' initial thoughts once you guys had actually got in the country?
Hot. One day, I swear, it was 157 degrees, and I had to stand out on guard duty all day.
Wow.
Yeah, 157 degrees. It was hot. So, yeah, you spend all day on guard duty in your gear. That was it. It was hot.
Wow. So I can see. So what were some of the most memorable moments while deployed with 46th Chemical Company?
There were a lot. What we did in my platoon was we were on guard duty a lot. I went to Tikrit, and we didn't know it at the time, but we actually ended up staying there for 6 months, so had a lot of memorable moments there. There was one time when we were on guard duty and a woman came through and she was giving birth in the car, like right there. We didn't really know how to deal with that, and we didn't have the medical supplies for that, so we, Sergeant First Class McDougal actually, who you spoke with earlier, we had to open the bridge up to let her go through so she could go to the hospital. There was one night when we stopped a car, and the man who was in it had been shot.
Oh, wow.
So I gave him some first aid, and one of the guys from the platoon actually gave his shirt to kind of help with the blood and everything. And a few days later, we actually got the shirt back. It was washed, it was folded, and there was flowers along with it. So that was really, really memorable. We might have like made that kind of impact on someone's life. And then I think another kind of really, really memorable moment for us was I stopped a guy who had 2 generators and a bunch of bags just filled with computer parts in his car. He said he was extracting the gold from the computer parts so he could sell it in the market for money, but when he was telling his story, he really couldn't keep it straight. Every time he told a story, it was a little bit different. So we ended up detaining him, and it turns out he was a level B bomb maker.
Oh, wow.
Level A is the highest, that you can be. So it was, interesting that we had run into somebody who was kind of making bombs of that caliber. That was a really, really memorable moment. Yeah. So
Wow.
a lot of memories.
I can see it was definitely one very, very interesting deployment for you.
Yeah.
There's so much wealth of knowledge there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just want to thank you for your time. I really appreciate you taking the time and giving that knowledge there.
Yeah.
From your time. time spent with 2nd Chem Battalion and 46th Chem Company. So I really appreciate